Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Daniel Spiller.
And this is Preston Willet. We are here yet again, another episode of the Flat Sports Podcast. This is actually episode 22, the double twos, if you will.
Episode 22, and we'll be right back after this short musical interlude.
Welcome inside to another episode of the Flat Sports Podcast. Danny, we had a not a big week, I would say. Like an average week.
Yeah, I'd say an average week. The Google Doc was a little lighter than some weeks.
I mainly because you probably aren't watching any of the real action going on in the sports world right now, which is college basketball.
What's that? What's happening in college basketball right now?
Did you watch one March Madness game?
Did Duke and UNC play this week or something?
No.
No.
They both did play. They just didn't play each other. Hopefully they won't again, because that would mean Virginia is not in the national championship game. But I will actually be heading on down the road to Louisville for those Virginia Cavaliers. They're taking on Oregon, who's a 12 seed. Virginia is a 1 seed. That'll be on Thursday at 10 o'clock. So I will be I'll be up pretty late. It'll almost be like I'm on your time, but I'm still on East Coast time.
Is this like a big regular season game?
I can't with you. We're gonna get into the big three, and we start with college basketball.
Gross.
No, we kind of do. This is a kind of a weird story that came out today involving Nike and college hoops. So Michael Avenatti, you might have heard of him before. He's a celebrity lawyer pretty much, and he just represented Stormy Daniels in that whole case with President Trump and all that.
So big time actress.
We don't need to get into any of that. But he was actually charged today with extortion and bank and wire fraud for trying to extort Nike. Basically, what happened was Avenatti last week threatened to hold a news conference on the eve of Nike's quarterly earnings call and the start of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, at which he would announce allegations of misconduct by Nike employees. Basically, that's from the ESPN report that they had, but basically saying he was connected with an AAU coach out in California who was claiming that Nike was basically doing what Adidas and some of these other companies had been doing, and signing or like shuffling high school recruits off to schools and for money and stuff like that. So that's what he was going to accuse.
Interesting strategy. I really love Michael Rigatoni's quote here, where he says, I will never stop fighting that good fight, and I'm highly confident that when all of the evidence is laid bare, no pun intended, that he will be exonerated and justice will be done. This also reminds me a lot of the guy who decided he was going to bomb a Target because he was betting their stock was going to go down. Like, what kind of strategy is this?
No, there's no strategy. It's just basically his whole plan was to threaten that he was going to like publicly like humiliate Nike if they didn't pay him like $20 million or something like that. That was his whole plan.
He was gonna make a mean meme about them.
Oh yeah, all about them memes. But yeah, it didn't work out for him, and it also has not worked out for another brand of tennis shoe, if you will, or basketball shoe, if you will. Big Baller brand is Big Baller done.
Ooh.
Pretty much done. So basically, you have Lonzo Ball. We all know Lonzo. We love Lonzo, right? Why not?
A great guy.
LeVar, not so much, but we love Lonzo. So basically, one of the co-founders of the Big Baller brand, not LeVar Ball, not his father, but a friend of the family, Alan Foster, who I guess friends for almost a decade, owns 16.3% of the Big Baller brand and used his access to the business and personal finances to enrich himself. I think they're going through taxes or something, and they couldn't find, where this $1.5 million. I mean, I walk around all the time getting an Uber and forget $1.5 million on the seat, but at least I know it's in the Uber seat.
If I'm missing like $10, I'm like, hold on a minute, what's going on? They lost $1.5 million, which is crazy. Funnier, apparently this guy was arrested in 2002 for doing the same thing. He defrauded 70 people of $4 million, and they were like, who we should trust with our money?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, this guy has had a criminal past, and they're like, yeah, you know what? You do it once, you get caught, you don't do it again. Everyone knows that. And no, he did it again. But I think I saw something earlier this week about the Lakers were actually kind of concerned about the Big Baller brand and wanted Lonzo to kind of leave that behind. And I mean, I think it's a good move. Like, the shoes aren't great anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying to do some of the stuff he did. Unfortunately, I don't think he had like a good team around him to execute on that. Clearly, so.
Yeah, here's something from Sports Illustrated. Basically, Lakers asked Lonzo Ball if Big Baller brand sneakers led to his ankle injury that he had this year and basically knocked him out for the whole second half of the season. I don't think it's far off.
Yeah, that's fair. He's definitely not getting, he might be getting close to top of the line technology and footwear, but not all the way top of the line.
Yeah, but I mean, you also posted this link right here that he might move on to Nike next. Unless Michael Avenatti brings him down first.
That's true.
Now we switch to a more somber note for you, Danny. As one of your heroes, one of your idols, announced he is stepping away from the game this past week. Robert Gronkowski will no longer be suiting up for the Patriots or anyone in the NFL. Danny, what are your initial feelings?
Sadness. Mixed with gratefulness and humility. But I'm not surprised. What surprised me most is Gronk is 29. For some reason, I'm like, oh, Gronk's like 33. Now he's 29. He's really young.
He's like 36 in injury years.
Looking at some of the stats, ESPN had an article going through some of the stats, and I think you can definitely make the case that he's the best tight end of all time.
Oh, absolutely. I don't contend that, and I actually share some of the same feelings that you have of sadness because I mean, he's such a great character on and off the field. But also just gratefulness that I'm so grateful he will not be playing for the Patriots anymore. And that's one less guy Tom Brady gets to throw to. So I am super grateful for Gronk for doing this. I hope, kind of his character sticks around. We've seen him do some acting. A little bit of talk about maybe the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you see next?
Oh, I think WWE is definitely next, and then some cameos in like a Sylvester Stallone movie or something. And then I also heard that he's not ruling out football. Like, maybe he could come back in like week 8 if he misses it.
I mean, evidently you can go like call games for Monday Night Football all season and come back the next year. So not throwing out anything out the window, especially if you're a tight end.
True.
But yeah, I think he's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
I mean, you look at his numbers compared to guys like Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez and even Kellen Winslow Sr., like, his numbers are right there with those guys.
Yep.
And he didn't even play until he was 30.
Yeah. Can you believe since 2010 he has more touchdown receptions than any player at any position in the entire NFL?
I can because the greatest wide receiver in that time span is Julio Jones, and for some reason the Falcons don't throw him the football in the end zone. So I do believe that, Danny. I do believe that. All right. Speaking of the NFL, we're going to get into our NFL quick hits. The NFL announced today that the Bears and Packers will open the NFL season on Thursday night. It will not be the Super Bowl champion Patriots. I'm sure they are actually pretty relieved that they don't have to open up early this year. But the Bears and Packers, they actually played each other in the opening week last season. I think they played Sunday Night Football last year. And this year they'll be the very first game. That was actually Khalil Mack's debut last year, where he had that crazy strip sack on Aaron Rodgers, and he also had like an interception for a touchdown or something like that.
Yep.
And then the Bears still lost the game. Yeah. So
is that Thursday night?
I believe it is a Thursday night game. I will get some more details right now. But what
I'll get details on the day of the week coming up soon.
Yeah. Details, minor details. It is a Thursday. It's always a Thursday. I don't know why I doubted myself. Your Patriots, they will open up on Sunday Night Football at home against an opponent to be determined.
Oh, wow.
So,
people are nervous. They don't want to play us.
I just don't think the schedule's been made yet, Danny. But this is actually pretty cool because this is the NFL's 100th season. I didn't realize that going into it.
I didn't know that either. I thought it'd only been around like for 16 years since Brady came in the
league. Pretty much for all Boston fans, yeah, it has been. It'll also be the 199th meeting between the Bears and the Packers. I think they should play each other like one more time just over the summer, and so it could be the 200th meeting. Yeah, I don't know. That's just my thought. But then you have a little preseason right here. Rams, they're going to play Cowboys in Hawaii.
Right? Do you think we're going to get a Hawaii team soon?
I've thought we were going to get a Hawaii team for years, and it's just like everyone forgot about it and was like, oh, let's go to L.A. Psh, whatever.
Hawaii would be pretty fun.
I think Hawaii would be great. I don't know how players would feel about traveling there, because I know the college football team, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, they've had troubles for a year getting like opponents to like come out there because it takes extra time. It's like a whole nother time zone, so it could throw you off a little bit. But hey, if we're gonna go to London and Mexico City and all these other places,
right?
Why not Hawaii?
Agreed.
Your boy Eli Manning, Dave Gettleman, just continuing on with just a fantastic offseason where he'll lose a star player and quickly overpay to replace him with someone that's not as good. You saw this with Golden Tate replacing Odell Beckham, Jabril Peppers replacing Landon Collins, but not going to replace Eli Manning. Maybe.
Nope. You want to know why? Because Eli Manning isn't overpaid. In fact, if anything, he's underpaid. And in fact, the defense of Eli Manning was football is a team game, and I've done studies. If you're on your back, it's really hard to complete a pass. It's good stuff.
I just don't I know like if you're quarterback, you got to defend your guys and everything, but like they are going out of their way, it seems like, to just defend Eli Manning at every single turn. Evidently, like they still have been keeping tabs on quarterbacks in this NFL draft, especially Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State, but it's just like, I don't know, they're still so in love with Eli Manning. Are they going to be able to break up with him to like go get, the younger, hotter guy?
Right.
It's a total rom-com.
Usually that's an easy decision, but in this case, it's not. Coming to theaters near you.
In this case, they're like, no, I should stick it out with the guy in the wheelchair.
Oh my goodness!
Because he's got a better heart,
I'm on Eli Manning's side now. I didn't know he was in a wheelchair in this rom-com.
I mean, with that offensive line, it won't take long. It will not take long. All right, getting on to our guy John Gruden. I saw him in a picture today with the rest of the NFL coaches. Him and his son Jay were actually matching in the picture. It's pretty good, but
it looks good. Yeah,
it's just a plain navy blue polo and khakis.
Nice.
So basic. But evidently, we gave him a lot of crap last year. But analytics, those good old analytics, which I don't think John Gruden pays attention to a lick of. But they're actually defending him here, saying that he won the Khalil Mack trade. Really?
Right? This is interesting because this is the one everyone criticized all year long. And basically, they're saying in a rebuilding year, why do you need an overpaid, you know, one player when you can get, 3 draft picks to rebuild down the road?
No, I absolutely agree. But my problem is I've always thought this was a good move, but I'm just a little hesitant about giving these draft assets and these draft picks to John Gruden. I don't know if he's going to actually replace the guys that well. It's like, oh, it's great to have all the assets in the world. But look at the Philadelphia 76ers. Like, for every Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, you had a Markelle Fultz, you had a Nerlens Noel, you had a Jahlil Okafor. You had a lot of bad picks thrown in there into the mix. So, like, are the Raiders actually going to hit on these draft picks is my biggest concern. Otherwise, I think it's right. I think, yeah, you don't need it. The Raiders weren't going to make the playoffs this year with Khalil Mack or without him, obviously. But, yeah. It all comes down to these draft picks.
Yeah, and last year they gave this award to the Rockets for getting Chris Paul, so that's a pretty high standard to live up to, I'd say. We'll see what happens.
Very, very high standard. Blake Bortles, I said RIP last week, but he is still alive. He still finds a way to live. He will be the back. Life finds a way, especially if you're Blake Bortles. He will be the backup for the Rams, backup to Jared Goff. My biggest question with this, does Blake Bortles facts continue on Twitter? Like, will they live on?
I think Blake Bortles facts will outlive Blake Bortles.
That's possible. I don't know if the guy that runs it is older or younger or what kind of health he's in, but I really hope so. Maybe he passes it down someday. Or, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if Bortles is really going to be that great. I mean, who knows? Sean McVay can do wonders.
Yeah, maybe he's going to take the starting job when
McVay saw that Super Bowl and was like, Goff's not the guy. I need that Bortles kid. Get that Bortles kid up here from Florida. I need him. That guy can do it.
I love it.
Speaking of, earlier we talked about Michael Avenatti, that celebrity lawyer. His actually co-conspirator in that case, let me get his name. His name was Mark Garagos, and his client, one of his clients, was Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, the plot thickens.
The plot thickens because that brings us to our next topic here, with the grievance the Kaepernick and Eric Reed settled with the NFL for under $10 million. That Mark Garagos guy, or however, Gyarados, like the Pokemon.
Mark Pokemon.
I don't know how to. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with the Danny Spiller method for saying people's names and just give it my best. But he actually played a role in this. I mean, what do you think? Like, under $10 million, do you think that was worth it?
I mean, hey, $10 million. Definitely, it's not quite worth it, but it's still worth it. Just not as.
I mean, compared to the $1.5 million that Lonzo's just losing, I mean, I don't know if it's completely worth it.
No, I think the surprising part, right, at least for me and from everything I read, was, I thought they were going to get more. 10 million.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. At least 10 million. Especially because they made them sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Yep. It does make me want. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if maybe they didn't have as much evidence as I thought they did, or I don't know. It's definitely interesting.
I think they had a lot more, and their celebrity lawyer, who, by the way, also represented Michael Jackson, Chris Brown, and, of recent news, Jussie Smollett of Empire. So
yeah, I guess it might not be great for your settlement when your lawyer is getting arrested for trying to blackmail Nike.
Yeah, I don't know if he got arrested. I don't know if this guy got arrested. It doesn't say, but he's not allowed to have contact. Avenatti is not allowed to have contact with Gyarados,
Mm.
the Pokemon.
Rigatoni and Pokemon no longer
Rigatoni
friends.
and the Pokemon. That could be a great cop show. Actually, I think one's coming out soon to theaters. That Detective Pikachu movie. Yeah.
I know I'm not gonna see it, but
Not gonna say it. All right. So the Ravens, speaking of backup quarterbacks, they are re-signing RG3. I thought he was great last year, but he earned high marks in training camp for kind of taking Lamar Jackson under his wing last year, and I thought he was great in the preseason, just from what I saw of him. I think this is the right move.
Well, yeah, this was such an interesting move to me because RG3, besides injuries, his other biggest problem has been basically that nobody likes him on any team he's on. So
That's very true.
For them to come out and be like, yeah, he was the man in the locker room, I was like, oh, what happened? Like, what's going on?
I guess when you're almost out of a job, you kind of change your you kind of change how you act. Yeah, the only guy that liked him in Washington evidently was Daniel Snyder, the owner, and
Yep.
he's like the most unlikable owner in the NFL. So I don't know if that's who you want on your side.
Yep, and RG3 is also 29, so this might be his last year. Might be heading for the Hall of Fame next year.
What do you know? Him and Gronk.
Yep.
Hopefully, just a year apart. All right, we are done with the NFL. We are sliding on over to the NBA right after this break.
All right, guys, we are back, and I'm happy to report that Preston is so excited that Jason Kidd might be the next coach of the Los Angeles Lakers.
It's not even that I'm upset that he might be the head coach for yet again the head coach for one of the teams that I root for between the Lakers and the Bucks. It's the fact that he's going to be a head coach again at all. Like, that's how much I dislike Jason Kidd, especially towards the end with the Bucks. This guy was in charge of a team that had one of the budding up and coming superstars in the league in Giannis Antetokounmpo. He also had a great rest of the team and failed to take them to that next level. Couldn't win a playoff series. Couldn't even make the playoffs some years with this team. He's just not a good coach, man.
No,
there's just nothing about him, and I'll talk about it later in another context about Giannis specifically. But just the night, there's a night and day difference between what Jason Kidd did and what Mike Budenholzer is doing, and that should show you how bad of a coach Jason Kidd is and how great of a coach Budenholzer is. I'm not saying the Lakers should come take Budenholzer. I'm just saying there's a night and day difference between what a good coach looks like and what Jason Kidd is.
Yeah, and there's also if the Lakers really are we need to get just a new energy in here and get Walton out, that's fine. But why Jason Kidd? I was listening to him do his media rounds on ESPN.
Oh, he was all over the place.
And they were asking him what he would have done differently if he was the coach of the Bucks still, and he said, I would have had more fun and I wouldn't have taken every possession so serious. So that's good to hear.
That's not what you should have done. You should have been taking more threes like Budenholzer's doing now. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he also had this to say about possibly becoming the next coach of the Lakers. I think when you look at the Lakers as a whole, it's a franchise that is one of the best in the world, not just in the NBA, but in the world. And so if you ever had the opportunity to wear the purple and gold, first of all, you're not wearing purple and gold. You are a coach, not a player. You can't turn that down as a coach, as a player, because they're all about championships and evidently missing the playoffs this year. That last part was me, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
And also about LeBron. When you talk about the best player in the world, you always are going to say yes because as a coach or as a teammate, he's always going to make you better because you're going to work.
Is Kidd thinking about
not
suiting up and playing?
Yeah, it sounds more like he's thinking about suiting up and playing point guard for the Lakers than coaching. This is the thing. This is why I don't think Jason Kidd is a very good coach. I don't think he's he got his head coaching job with the Brooklyn Nets right after he retired with the Knicks. Like that was like immediately after. Like he was like, I can't really find a job playing, so I'm going to go be the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Right after the Nets made that horrendous trade that the Celtics are, just now stopping reaping the benefits from. But like Jason Kidd has never made that transition from player to coach.
Nope.
Like he was a great veteran, but he never made that transition to coach, and that's why like he just doesn't have the X's and O's. Like his defense with the Bucks was horrendous. It got picked apart every night, and he was just not utilizing one of the best players in the league, or potentially one of the best players in the league, and Giannis every single night. He was just misusing him, and I think this would be terrible for the Lakers. I don't know why he keeps getting linked to this job. I don't know what Magic Johnson is thinking, unless he's like still on that same mind track where he's like, we're gonna zig when they were zagging over there in Golden State, and we're gonna sign Lance Stevenson, we're gonna sign Michael Beasley, and Jason Kidd's gonna coach them all.
Contrarian for the sake of being contrarian.
That's really what Magic Johnson's philosophy seems like. Yeah.
Well, someone else who is often contrarian, Kevin Durant.
So often contrarian.
Comes out, rips voters, saying that Klay Thompson deserves an all-defensive team spot. What do you think about this?
I think Klay Thompson has been one of the better defenders on the perimeter in the league. I do agree with him in one sense. I don't know if Klay Thompson specifically, but I do think there are a lot of guys that should be getting consideration for all defense, but don't, just because I guess voters feel like we got to give it to guys that aren't as talented offensively. Like I think Paul George should be a contender for Defensive Player of the Year. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo, who actually has, I think he's like has the highest defensive rating in the league. He should be in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. Like the things he can do defensively, no one else in the league can. Kevin Durant some years should be in contention for all defense. So like there's a lot of guys that just because they are the offensive focal point just don't get the credit defensively. And like you can go back to like Kawhi as a guy that could kind of do it on offense that won Defensive Player of the Year. But that's when he was kind of the go-to guy for that Spurs team, but like at the same time, there's never really a go-to guy for the Spurs.
Yeah, well, it's just because he made his name defensively. Kind of Jimmy Butler made his name defensively, so he still gets recognition for it, even though he's an offensive player, known more as that now. So it's tough if you don't start off as a great defensive player. Yeah. People are really slow in the uptake to recognize
I was listening to a podcast the other day from The Ringer, and they were talking about Rudy Gobert, who is probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year again this year. But like he was defending in the post the other night against Jonas Valanciunas, who's now playing for the Grizzlies, and Valanciunas was just abusing him in the post. Why is it that like that just you get an excuse? Like, yeah, you're going to have an off night, but like you shouldn't have an off night to that degree that a guy like Jonas Valanciunas is just taking you to town if you're the best defensive player in the league. Yeah. So I just think there's a lot of stuff wrong with the all defensive voting, and it has been for years.
You need to revamp. You tell them. Next podcast, we're going to figure out how to revamp it.
There we go. We'll do it. We will tell them.
All right, next up, NBA San Antonio. After having an awful streak, looking like they were going to be out of the playoffs, actually won 9 straight, beating the Warriors, the Trailblazers, the Bucks, the Nuggets, and the Thunder. They've lost a couple recently, but they went on this long win streak. Are you a believer in San Antonio?
I'm a believer to the extent that I think they can make things challenging for some teams. It just depends on who are they playing. Right now in the Western Conference standings, they are the 7 seed, which I like for them because I think, playing against the Denver Nuggets, that might not be a bad matchup for them, especially, Greg Popovich, just kind of moving the chess pieces around the board. That's not a bad move. If they move up to the 6th seed, though, where the Utah Jazz are right now, they'd be playing the Houston Rockets, and I don't give them a lot of chance in that kind of series. I think Houston would.
They eat the Houston Rockets for dinner.
They used to. I don't know if they would eat this Houston Rockets team for dinner. It's just that's how I feel. And if
Yeah.
they fall, and they're tied right now for the 7 seed with the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are the 8 seed by default. If they fell down to the 8 seed, then they play the Warriors, and
Yeah.
I don't think
That's
they
no
get a
good.
game against the Warriors. Like
Nope.
maybe they get lucky at home because San Antonio, like this is San Antonio's record at home this year, 29-8.
Wow.
29-8. You know what they are on the road?
Is it a
Four,
losing record?
yeah, 14-23.
Ooh, that's awful.
Like it's bad. Like I think they have let's see, like the second or third, the third best win percentage at home in the NBA behind the Denver Nuggets and the Milwaukee Bucks, who were tied for first at 30-6. Like they are just night and day difference at home and on the road. So
Yup.
maybe if a series goes their way, but like look at these Western Conference standings real quick. Weren't we just talking about like could the Clippers make the playoffs and now they're the 5th seed?
Yeah.
Like when did that happen?
Yeah,
This is just nuts.
it is funny because like everyone who's in the playoffs right now is gonna make it, but
Yeah.
again, 4 through 8, just like last year, could completely flip flop, and it wouldn't be
It's
surprising at
crazy.
all.
And even the Rockets are only a game up on the Trailblazers for the 3 seed. I
Yep.
think they hold on to it. But like, yeah, from the 3 seed down to the 8 seed, it's only separated by 4 games. And from the 4 seed down to the 8 seed, it's only 3 games. Like a lot can change, especially in that 5 to 8 range. So like we may get, the top 4 seeds stay the same: Warriors, Nuggets, Rockets, Trailblazers. But who knows who they're playing in the first round, because it could be
Yep.
any of the Clippers, Jazz, Spurs, or Thunder. Like we were talking about the Thunder being like the team that was going to give the Warriors the biggest challenge, and now they might be playing them in the first round.
Yeah, I would like to say on the Spurs real quick though, they have DeMar DeRozan, they have LaMarcus Aldridge. I'm just saying those two players are like about as good as anyone the Jazz, the Thunder, the Clippers, the Blazers, or the Nuggets have.
You're not wrong. And the thing about like a team like the Clippers or the Spurs, they don't play bad players. Like they're every single player that gets out onto the floor, they're good. Like top to bottom, they're good. The Spurs don't play bad players. They never have. They just have a bunch of really smart players. So I could see the Spurs, depending on where they get lined up, winning a playoff series.
Yeah, outside of the Warriors and the Rockets, I think anyone's an upset candidate in the West, at least right now.
Yeah. All right. Uh, Jimmer Fredette. Gosh, haven't we missed Jimmer Fredette?
I
Like
really have. Been
he
thinking about
really
him.
hadn't done anything in his NBA career ever, really. But man, did we miss him? He was over in China, like scoring 70 points in a game and averaging like 37. He was like a superstar over there. Well, guess what? He finally came back to the NBA, signed with the Suns. In his debut, he actually made his first shot, but was called for an offensive like push-off foul, so it did not count.
You hate
And
to see
tonight,
that.
yeah, you hate to see that. And tonight, he's actually back in Utah, where he played his college ball for BYU. Got a huge standing ovation and everything. But was back there tonight. He played 7 minutes off the bench, 0 for 2 with a foul. His over/under was -17. So not a great showing for him. But he plays for the Phoenix Suns, and they're down by like 21 points. So
Am I being overly optimistic by saying that he just came into the league 1 or 2 years too soon before the 3-point revolution really took off?
I think you could be right, because like why couldn't he be like at least a Seth Curry?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't say Steph. I said a Seth.
Oh.
Like why couldn't he at least be that? Like that. Speaking of Steph, this is going to get a little off track for just 1 second. Bear with me. But Trey Young for the Atlanta Hawks, he's been lighting it up lately. I think he won Eastern Conference Player of the Week this past week, and I saw a report from one of the local stations down in Atlanta he sat down with him and he was reading off like draft report about him. But here's the thing. It wasn't really about him. It was about Steph Curry, but like it was all the same things that were said about Trae Young, and now he's having this success after these same things were said about him. So just a little bit interesting. Yeah. Just a little interesting.
Yeah.
You never yeah.
Let's talk about James Harden having just still an incredible streak. There's an interesting tweet I saw that compares James Harden's 100 best career games to Dwayne Wade's best 100 career games, and James Harden is superior in every single statistic, other than blocks, of course.
What are you saying?
I'm saying, is he the second best shooting guard of all time?
Huh. So we're putting him ahead of Kobe too?
Maybe. I never saw Kobe score like this.
Yeah, Kobe scored like that. He had like 80.
Yeah, when his teams weren't good.
Yeah, well, you're right. No, I would go MJ, Kobe. I would still put Dwayne Wade. He's got the championships. And then
That's
I
fair.
go James Harden.
Is there anything James Harden can do to convince you that he's the MVP instead of Giannis?
No.
Okay.
Convince me? No, absolutely not. Convince someone else, maybe, but convince me, no. I just don't think it, because I'm looking at, as a total package, who has the bigger impact on their team, and like I think it's still Giannis. I think they are the better team. They are the best team in the Eastern Conference. They have, I think, the best record in the NBA still. It's still the best record in the NBA. Like, how can you not give it to this guy who's having a career year and does it all across the board? He's not just scoring. He's scoring. He's assists. He's got the rebounds. He's playing defense. Like I said, he has one of the top defensive ratings in the NBA. Like, he's the complete package. And his team is winning.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, since we're already talking about it, Zach Lowe wrote a piece where he highlighted Giannis. And some of the defensive stats are incredible. Opponents shoot 53% against him at the rim, which is one of the best stats in the league. They shoot
Defensive Player of the Year
points per possession when they isolate him. He's one of the best in one-on-one defensive stats. Basically is you can't score on him if you try and post him up. Like, pretty impressive.
Defense, tell me he shouldn't be at least like in contention to be Defensive Player of the Year.
No, the stats are amazing. 1.5 steals and 1.5 blocks a game. Like, these are pretty unheard of statistics.
And the Bucks have one of the best defenses in the league as a team. Like, that's all the ingredients you look for in Defensive Player of the Year, and he's still not getting any recognition really for it.
Yup, absolutely. I agree.
Like I said, next week we're going to completely revamp this whole defensive voting stuff, and we're going to fix it. We will fix it. We're going to make Defensive Player of the Year right again.
All right, moving over to the East. Preston, tell me about D'Angelo Russell, the Nets. Are they a threat to upset someone in the East?
I really liked their chances when the Pacers were the 3 seed. I don't like their chances. Because look, they're not going to beat, they're not going to beat the 76ers. They don't have that much talent. Like, the Sixers will get by on talent alone, but I love this Nets team. Like, there are a couple teams in the NBA right now that, I just love watching. Like, if I had League Pass, if I paid the money for League Pass, I would watch these teams on League Pass. It is the Atlanta Hawks and the Brooklyn Nets. Tons of young talent, and they let them go play. They let them play this modern NBA game, and that's why D'Angelo Russell looks so good. And plus, his the second best player on that team, Karis LeVert, really isn't back to full strength yet after he had that scary injury earlier this year. They have a great young big man in Jared Allen, who evidently can block anyone at the rim. Yeah, so I don't like. There's a lot to like with this Nets team. I think they could go shoot crazy and maybe get a game from the 76ers because they got a bunch of head cases on the team that might lose a game in the first round, but I don't think they could actually upset the Sixers.
Yep, I hear you. I hear you. Other interesting developments in the East. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard spoke recently about free agency, and the Raptors, supposedly, according to unnamed sources, are more confident than ever that Kawhi Leonard will stay this coming offseason. Yes, no, maybe?
It makes sense. Like, why would you go all the way to Los Angeles for something that you don't know if it's going to be there when you could stay in Toronto for something is there? Like the hope going to Los Angeles is that you get another star. You might not get another star if you go there. And while they do have a great team, they got good depth and everything, and you'd be living in Los Angeles, you don't know like what else would be there around you. So I like the move to stay with the Raptors.
That's true. He also get that 50 million extra if he stays. That's not
Hey,
bad.
money talks.
All right, moving on to another team in the East. This Boston Celtics, my favorite, have Kyrie's been back in the news again. First of all, saying that he's absolutely gonna rest games because the regular season's not important, and then second of all, criticizing Coach Brad. Start with the
No.
start with the sitting games. Do you think you should be doing that when they're really not playing as a team yet?
Yeah, that's the tricky part. Like, yeah, I would honestly, I'd rather prefer like Kyrie sit some games towards the end of the season, but yeah, they're not playing well. Like, you got to be playing well before you start sitting games. Like right now, they are um, like they're 2 games back for the Pacers for the 4 seed to get home court advantage in that first round. I don't know if they necessarily need it because this Pacers team is so depleted, but I would love to see them playing better before I start considering sitting games towards the end of the season. But as we've seen before, sometimes the Celtics play better without Kyrie.
That's true.
So maybe they can pick up some games if Kyrie sits a couple games, and then he'll come back and be like, "Nah, it's my team, man. It's my team."
After the Celtics got torched by Kemba Walker, Kyrie
Oof.
came out and said we should have trapped him a little more like every other team in the league does. He torches us every time we play him, so it's no surprise. Is that shots fired at Brad Stevens?
It is shots fired at Brad Stevens, but he should be turning the gun to himself because, like, Kyrie, you're the one defending Kemba Walker. Like, what are you doing? You're like, yeah, the team gets torched by him. No, Kyrie, you are getting torched by him. You are defending him. Like, I'm sure Marcus Smart was defending him too. Terry Rozier might have gotten some time on him, but, like, you are the point guard. He is the other team's point guard. You will defend each other. Take some blame, man. Like Kyrie keeps saying he learns from his lessons, but then he comes back and says the same stuff again.
I
Like
know, so
this is
frustrating.
like this has to infuriate you or just like frustrate you as a Celtics fan, doesn't it?
I know, I can't even hear it anymore.
Just tune out the white noise.
Yup.
Tune out the Kyrie noise.
Yep, but the Celtics, they actually lost in a really close, heated match to Philly. It was the first time Philly beat them this entire regular season. Granted, there was no Marcus Smart, no Gordon Hayward, but Joel Embiid had a huge game. I think he had like 40 points, 15 rebounds, something like that. Came out and said he's the most unstoppable player in the league. So is Joel Embiid the most unstoppable player in the league, and is Philly the most talented team in the East?
On the first part, I don't think that's far off that Joel Embiid is one of the most unstoppable players in the league. I would have a personal preference towards Giannis just because he shows up on every given night and doesn't pull like Joel Embiid, like just weird games where he's on the perimeter the whole time,
Yep.
or the offense just doesn't go through Embiid because like here's the thing, like Embiid's got to get someone to get the ball to him. Like Ben Simmons has to get the ball there. Giannis brings the ball up the court. Like he can do everything Joel Embiid can do pretty much, but he can also bring the ball up the court. Embiid might be a little bit better of a 3-point shooter than him right now. That's about it. So I would say, Embiid might be the second most unstoppable player in the league. I would still lean Giannis first. Is Philly the most talented team in the East? On star power, yes. Yes, they are. I mean, like, they have Jimmy Butler basically playing like a 3-and-D role because they have so many other guys on the team. Like, that's just the role that he's got to play.
Yep.
Like, it's almost like Team USA when, like, Kobe went out there and his role was to be a defensive stopper.
Yeah.
Because, like, you had LeBron and Carmelo and all these other guys that could score. So, like, Kobe, you don't need to score. You just need to stop the other team. And that's kind of the situation with Philly right now. But you look at that bench, man, and, like, there is nothing there. There's just nothing there.
Yep. It is pretty incredible to see they came into the year with everyone kind of saying they didn't have enough. And they did revamp the roster to add star power. Like you said, they have no bench. But yeah, I mean, I think their starting five can hang with any team in the East.
And when you get to the playoffs anyway, like, you're going to go to a shorter bench. Like, you might be bringing, like, TJ McConnell off the bench and that's it. Or maybe TJ McConnell and Mike Scott and that's it.
Yep.
Like, a 7-man rotation is pretty common in the playoffs.
Yep.
So
The biggest question I have is Jimmy Butler's their closer right now, and I just don't know how I feel about that.
that is a little scary. That is a little scary. Like, especially if, like, you need a 3. I don't know if there's a guy out there that I'm really confident in getting that 3 because, like, the other team's going to be glued to JJ Redick. Like, they're not going to let JJ get a shot off. So it's going to have to be Jimmy or Tobias Harris. And, like, Tobias, I think he might be the third best player on the team. Just the way he fits in right now. Like, he might be better than Jimmy Butler.
Oh, I thought you were going to say better than Joel. You really?
No. It goes Joel, Ben Simmons, and then Tobias Harris for me right now, and then Jimmy Butler. But that's just because of, like, Tobias's fit on the team. I think Jimmy's still the better overall player. I just think Tobias fits better into what they're trying to do. Yeah. The only thing that still concerns me is I don't know if Brett Brown is going to make those adjustments in the playoffs to fully unleash this Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I mean, from round to round, yeah, we're going to see what Brett Brown is made of this year.
Yeah. All right, that is it for the NBA. Coming up next, of course, you guy, Tim Tebow. We'll talk more about him. Also, we got some good Recs of the week and some great Instagram updates coming up next. All right, welcome back. Thanks to Britta yet again for another delicious advertisement break. We are going into yep, there it is. Going into Tim Tebow update of the week. Tim Tebow, he's been a very successful man in his life, and evidently, like, it doesn't just stop when he goes to sleep. Like, he can still just make things happen when he goes to sleep. Danny, what am I talking about?
Yeah, Market Watch, which is an investment type of online website, interviewed Tim Tebow and asked him about investing your money. And he said, find ways to make money while you sleep. Isn't that good?
Like,
is that helpful?
Like, how are you making the money, though?
Well, he didn't say that. You need to figure that out for yourself.
Okay. I'd rather him just tell me how to make the money than, like, telling me when I need to make the money. I need to be make the money all the time, but I'd like to know how to do that.
No. That's a trade secret.
That's just too much. All right. Elon update. Football's long gone. Basketball's over now. So we move on to Elon men's tennis. What do we have, Danny?
The tennis team, 15-4 after beating the College of Charleston, on a roll this year. I just can't say enough good things about this team that I know so well. I really want to highlight Camilo Ponce, who clinched the win for Elon with a victory over someone else whose name I can't say well. Good
awesome.
job.
Awesome. I mean, when we were at Elon, we had a ton of friends that were on the men's tennis team.
We did, and they were very competitive, and we
All
went to
right,
all their
stop. You're
games.
embarrassing yourself. We did not. We went to maybe one. Stop.
They were
All
for
right.
bagels at that one.
Yes, exactly. All right, Rex of the week. I did say every time at Elon though, every time we drove by the tennis courts, I was like, man, those tennis courts just look awesome.
Yeah.
Like you can vouch for me. I said that every time. Have no interest in playing on them or watching on them. Rex of the week. We talked about your boy Gronk. You got a Rex of the week for him.
Yep, there's actually an old article, but it's called "The Majesty of the Gronk Spike." It's just about how it came to be and what makes it so great. How about you, Preston?
Awesome. Awesome. A little bit more about Giannis because you can never get enough of the Greek freak. Creating the unguardable, Giannis working on 3-point range. Yeah, scary to think about. That one comes from ESPN from Malika Andrews. Really interesting, in depth piece that just goes further into why Jason Kidd is awful at coaching.
Your favorite kind of article these days.
It also does talk about Giannis, but it also just really hits home why Jason Kidd's just not a good coach. All right, Instagram update. I love this first one. I saw this earlier this week.
Yep, we have a Colts defensive lineman throwing a medicine ball through the wall. This is one of my personal life goals, so it's pretty great.
I don't know like how sturdy the wall was, but like it's also like security footage showing this and throw it through the wall, and I was just like, oh wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Somebody arrest that man.
Yeah, what the heck? All right, J.R. Smith in the soup yet again.
You guys know I love a good soup story. And on the Bill Simmons podcast, he had a guest on. I actually can't remember. I think it was Dave Jacoby talking about it. But he gave the details on the soup. And he said that J.R. Smith threw the soup and the bowl, not just the soup. The soup was hot, and it was chicken tortilla soup.
Oh, that's such a waste of soup.
Waste of bowls.
Waste of bowls, waste of soup. I'm sure there's some tortillas in there, so waste of those too. All right. This next one, you just can't make this stuff up. And that's literally how I start off every story about Cam Newton these days.
Yeah, Cam Newton is giving up sex for a month to, quote, make his mind stronger, unquote. Hey, I guess we'll see how that works out for him.
Yeah, this is after he went vegan earlier, and so I guess just keep taking things out of your life, and maybe something will work. Maybe throw a little bit more like practice in there, and maybe that'll work.
Like throwing accuracy, maybe
throwing it in the general vicinity of a wide receiver, that might work.
Yep. We also,
all right, Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe was on Get Up with Mike Greenberg. Basically said he does not talk about the GOAT debate or his place in it because he can't win that debate.
Yeah, you're right.
We all know that, Kobe.
Yeah, you're right, Kobe. Amazing self-awareness there by Kobe. He's really gotten wiser with old age. Like he always says, he's like a fine wine. He gets better with age. And then this is not for Danny because he is just the worst kind of human and does not watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's true.
But my girl, Sansa Stark, also Sophie Turner, was at a hockey game this past week and was up on the Jumbotron and was just loving every second of it. She had a full glass of wine in her hand, and she just proceeded to chug the whole glass of wine.
Oh, did she dab before? She dabbed a little bit too. Wow.
She dabbed too. Yeah, it's you're watching it now.
Yeah,
and
what
it
a
is
legend!
Just amazing. She is a legend, and for all us Game of Thrones fans, it's only a couple weeks away. Maybe even less than that before the next season starts up again. So I am super pumped for that.
Yeah, one of us on this podcast are excited.
All one of us are excited for it. I'm sure there are plenty that are excited for it. All right, time for the weekly sign off, Danny.
Yeah. This is. What do you think? Should we do something with?
I think we should go Cam Newton and like stuff that he like go down like a list of stuff that Cam Newton would give
Should
up.
give up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
this won't be like this. It was 60 seconds, but like just listing stuff that Cam Newton should give up.
All right, and starting. All right, I'll start. Cam Newton should give up swimming.
Swimming. All right. Cam Newton should give up uh the the Cammy Cam juice.
Cam Newton should give up vitamins.
Cam Newton should give up throwing with his right arm and throw his left arm instead.
Cam Newton should give up throwing with his left arm.
Cam Newton should give up his number and switch to like 90 something. It would just be more appropriate.
Cam Newton should quit running with the football.
I kind of sense where we're getting towards here. Cam Newton should quit football.
Ooh, excellent.
Burn.
Sick burn.
You got burned. All right. That is all the time we have for this week of episode 22 of The Flop. It is going to be a busy week. Maybe not as much in the NFL and the NBA, but it will be a busy week for me as I head off to Louisville and Danny stays in LA. So
Be super busy here too.
it's super busy there. All right. We will see y'all next week.
All right, bye guys.